Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you all. So today we're going to be taking a look at Purrely. We've already done our Let's Talk About Purrely videos, so I'm not going to talk about the individual cards here, as we've already looked over those in that video. And if you haven't seen it yet and are wondering what all these different cards do, I would highly advise watching that video first. This is going to be our Purrely combo guide. It's weirdly, I was just thinking about this the other day, it's actually been a minute since we've done a combo guide, because a lot of the decks that are in the meta are ones that have been around for a while, unless I've already done a combo guide for, but this is a completely new meta archetype, so we're going to be going over a bit of a combo guide for Purrely. The thing to know about Purrely right off the bat is that the deck is a little bit, it's less on the linear side. It's actually a fairly non-linear deck. So in a lot of ways, I'm going to say, like, you know, if you open with Purrelyly, but what I mean by that, and I'll explain this again later, of course, is if you open Purrelyly, or if you open one of the quick play spells and have the ability to special summon Purrelyly from your deck without using too many resources. We're going to go over both going first and going second plays, as they're both very different, but both very important to know for this deck. We'll go over how to summon the Expurrely Noir, your towers that also has multiple disruptions built in on turn 1, and we'll also talk about how to OTK with the Epurrely Happiness. This is also, I guess, a bit of a sneak peek into the build that I have been laddering with, but we're going to talk about that more in depth in our deck profile, which will be tomorrow, I believe, should be coming out tomorrow, where we'll go over some games, and again, I'll talk about more about deck building choices there. This is going to be more just focused on the combos and only those. So without further ado, let us go ahead into solo mode and we'll take a look at some of the plays that you can do with this deck. Okay, so one of the first things that I'm going to go over is how to summon out the Expurrely Noir on turn 1. If you are going first, then your turn 1 play is pretty much always going to want to be to get this thing out with, of course, 6 or more materials under it, so that way it is 5 or more materials, because then, of course, the Expurrely Noir is going to be unaffected by your opponent's activated card effects, making it a tower that is completely unable to be, well, not completely, but pretty much unable to be responded to. Now, of course, the caveat is that you can give up some of these materials to disrupt, but then your Expurrely Noir will not be unaffected. So we're going to go ahead and just focus on getting this onto play turn 1. Now, what you're going to need is access to 2 cards in particular, the Purrelyly, which is going to be this one right here, the darker one, as well as the quick play spell card Purrely Delicious Memory. If you have access to both of these cards, then you are going to be able to do this play. Now, here in particular, we opened the Purrelyly and we have My Friend Purrely to then search the Delicious Memory. The other thing you will actually need that I failed to mention is you will need another quick play spell card besides Delicious Memory. In this case, we have Pretty Memory. Ideally, we would have the Sleepy Memory. That's the best other one to have because it gets you an extra draw, but any of them will do. So let's just go ahead and get it started. I'm going to go ahead and start by summoning my Purrelyly. If you opened another quick play spell card, you could activate that first, especially Purrelyly from your deck. We're going to want to activate her effect. Now, normally I would grab My Friend Purrely here, but in this case I already opened it, so usually my next choice after that is the Stray Purrely Street. This is nice for 2 reasons. One, it makes it so your Purrely monsters can't be targeted, which means Imperm and Valor, as well as a few other hand traps, won't be effective against them. You can still get Ash Blossom. The Ash Blossom does not target, so that will still work against you, but this is going to help against quite a few things. It also, during the end phase, adds a Purrely Quick Play spell card as a material, which can potentially get our Expurrely Noir up to 7 materials, which means it can use a disruption and still be unaffected. So again, if I did not already have My Friend Purrely in my hand, as you can see here, I would be adding this. But here I'm going to add the Stray Purrely Street instead. My Friend Purrely is going to be the one you want to add most often if you don't already have it. This is, of course, the one where you can add Purrely cards from your deck to your hand. So let's go ahead and activate My Friend Purrely. I'm going to go ahead and throw that over here, and we'll go ahead and use the effect to pay 500 life points. Now, you have to choose 3 Purrely cards, and your opponent picks one at random, but they don't have to have different names. So the cool thing is, since we have all 3 Delicious Memory in our deck, we just go 1, 2, 3, pick 3 of those, and our opponent is going to have to give us a Purrely Delicious Memory. There is one other kind of caveat that you're going to want to make sure that you're doing here, and that's that we're getting 2 spell and trap cards into our graveyard. That is actually important because that means we're going to need we're going to have that in order to be able to get, the appropriate number of Exceeds materials to make the Expurrely Noir. So I'm going to go ahead and activate the Delicious Memory. I'm going to go ahead and discard the Triple Tactics talent here, activating the effect. I'm going to click yes. Because again, we need to get a couple of spell and trap cards into the graveyard there. We've already used Purrelyly's effect, so I'm not going to go ahead and summon her because you only use one of each of her effects once per turn. Purrely, the white one, however, does not have a once per turn clause. So let's go ahead and special summon the Purrely out to the field. Alright, and we'll go ahead and activate her effect. See if we can't get a Purrely spell or trap card. That would be ideal, but we did not. We ended up whiffing here, so we're going to have to end up putting those back. Now, I know I said before that I would like to have straight Purrely Street on the field to protect my cards, but here in this case, it's kind of looking like I'm going to have to end up discarding it for the Purrely Pretty Memory here. So I'm actually not going to activate it right now. Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and activate the Purrelyly effect here, targeting the Delicious Memory. You want to have specifically Delicious Memory in the graveyard so that way you can summon the Epurrely Plump here. And I'm going to throw this in the far right monster zone. This actually does matter because the far right main monster zone is the one that is most protected from like your opponent's disruption, right? So just various monster effects. Like if you put it here or here, then you run the risk of getting eaten by Relinquished Anima, which this deck actually runs, so this is actually relevant. So don't put it here or here. The middle monster zone can potentially get targeted by a Geonator Transverser to swap control. Same with the far left zone. So far right monster zone is going to be the safest one here. I actually don't want to activate the effect yet because if I activate it now, I only have one, spell card in my graveyard that's going to get attached as a material. So I'm going to activate the Purrely Pretty Memory first. And I will chain the effect in order to attach it as a material. You do want to make sure that you're doing this. We're not going to activate the other effect just yet, though. What I'm going to do is with the Pretty Memory, I am... Banish a card, we don't need to do that, no. I am actually going to activate the effect of Pretty Memory to discard my Stray Street to again make sure we're getting a second spell or trap card. Because the Purrely isn't once per turn, I can go ahead and summon another copy and I actually get to activate the effect. But again, Purrelyly is once per turn, so don't do that one. Let's see if we actually managed to hit something. Hey, we actually had a Sleepy Memory here, which is really good. We're going to go ahead and add that to our hand. If I would have hit that off the first one, I wouldn't have had to have discarded my field spell there, which would have been nice. But you know what? This is going to be an extra draw, and it'll actually be an extra material on our Epurrely Plump as well, which is a lot of the appeal of activating the field spell. So ultimately, things did not end up changing too much here. I'm going to go ahead and suck up the Sleepy Memory as a material on the Plump. That way we get a draw during our opponent's standby phase. No need to banish a card, and no need to discard to summon because we have the Purrely in our deck, or in our hand rather. So we're going to finally activate Epurrely Plump's ability to attach the triple tack as well as the stray Purrely Street from our graveyard directly to it as a material. Now it has 6 materials, but only needs 5 in order to summon the Expurrely Noir. Again, we like having the extra material, though, because the Expurrely Noir, I thought it actually needed 6 earlier, but it only needs 5 materials to be unaffected by activated effects, and it has 7, which means during our opponent's turn, we can detach 2 materials from this card, and then we get to place a card on bottom of their deck. We actually, in this particular line, we end up with 2 Purrelys on board, so we could even make another rank 1 if we wanted to. We could actually, that's actually not bad here for the Sylvan Princess. So we can go ahead and summon her. This actually is not part of your normal combo line. This is not something that in my experience happens most of the time, but you know, we have the opportunity to maybe excavate another spell or trap card. So let's detach one of the Purrelys. And look at that, we found a Delicious Memory that we get to add to hand. And if we really wanted to, we could even... Oh, actually, no, sorry. This doesn't have the ability to add materials as an effect, so we couldn't add any more materials. But there you go. There is a way of, one of many, because again, this is a very non-linear deck, but that's generally how you want to go about summoning the Expurrely Noir with 2 materials, or with 5 or more materials, geez, not 2 materials, with 5 or more materials during your first turn. So now going into your opponent's turn, you have a Towers monster that has 4,900, usually would be about 4,600 defense points, 4,600 defense points, and it cannot be affected by activated effects. And again, if your opponent threatens to battle over it or use some other non-activated effect to remove it, you can always detach 2 of the materials, start bouncing your opponent's stuff, putting it back on the bottom of their deck. So there is a, again, pretty typical turn 1 combo line, getting the Expurrely Noir. Let's see another combo here. Okay, so we have an opening hand here that's a little bit less clear cut, but it also has the Purrelyeap in hand, which Oftentimes, if you're not able to actually end on the Expurrely Noir, the next best thing you can do is end on either the Beauty or the Plump, and then set the Purrelyeap, and that'll give you a lot of options as far as being able to go into other Purrely monsters, and then from there, using whatever form of Disrupt you need among them. Usually you're going to go just for the Expurrely Noir off this, but you of course have lots of options here. So we still want to see if we can get to the Expurrely Noir on turn 1 if possible, but if not, we still have pretty solid plays here. So we're going to go ahead and start by normal summoning the Purrely and just see if we can excavate anything interesting here. Okay, we got a pretty memory, so we got something. Let me actually think about this for a moment. So yeah, we're going to put these two back. I think this is actually enough to go for a Noir, right? Because don't we just activate Delicious Memory, right? Sure, we'll target this one, and then we will activate the effect. Let's pitch the triple tack here, and then we can special summon the Purrelyly from our deck. Purrelyly effect gets to activate here. And then from there, we can add My Friend Purrely. Yeah, so it's funny. Again, like I said, we could have actually just gone into like the Purrelyeap, and even if we didn't have the ability to summon a turn 1 Noir, we'd be fine here. But we ended up being able to summon a turn 1 Noir. I'm pretty certain here, right? Because now we just activate My Friend Purrely. My Friend Purrely effect. I already have Delicious in the graveyard, so let's get Sleepy Memory. Reveal all 3 copies of that. That way we get a draw, of course, during the opponent's standby phase. Yep, add the Sleepy Memory. Now we get to activate the Purrelyly effect. Let's target the Delicious Memory in our graveyard. Don't need to chain anything there. We want to have Plump on the field before we activate any more of our continuous spell cards. And I think here, I mean, we have a few options, right? Because we have the extra Pretty Memory in hand, we could, like... We could actually activate Purrely, get the Pretty Memory, and have negates up. Ooh, that would actually be really good. Because we don't really need the Purrelyeap in hand in this case. But let's say that we didn't have like any other quick play spells in hand, right? Let's just say this was like Ash Blossom and Nibiru or something like that. Again, what you would want to do here is just set the Purrelyeap with the Epurrely Plump. Obviously use Epurrely Plump to get as many of the spell and trap cards out of your graveyard as possible. And then during your opponent's turn, you can go into the Expurrely Noir with the Purrelyeap here. But again, here we actually managed to not only find a way to get into the Expurrely Noir on turn 1, but we can actually set up a Beauty, I think, for some negates as well. So let's activate the Sleepy Memory, right? I will chain Plump's effect in order to attach the Sleepy Memory as a material. And again, we actually don't need the Purrelyeap here. We don't need to banish a card, so I'm not going to do that. Yes, I will discard a card. I'll discard the Purrelyeap because I don't need it. Purrely will get an extra Excavate, and then now we have 2 spell or trap cards in our graveyard, as well as another quick play spell in hand. Let's see what this Purrely excavates. But this is again what I was talking about earlier when I was saying that this is a very non-linear combo deck. As you can see, what you're able to do just so much depends on like what you open, and then not only what you open, but what you excavate, what you're able to search, so on and so forth. So, alright, let's attach those materials, right? And again, we actually have a couple of options here, because I could just stack the Expurrely Noir on top of the Plump right now, then it would have 6 materials. I could activate Pretty first, attach it to the Plump, then do the Expurrely Noir to give it 7 materials, or what I think I'm going to do here is I'm going to summon the Expurrely Noir like I was talking about, right? But now I'm going to activate, or not activate Pretty Memory, I'm going to activate Purrelyly's effect, not chain that. I want to show Pretty Memory, because now I get to summon Beauty, and then Beauty will be quick effect, monster effect negation on the opponent's turn. What stats does this have? We'll just summon her in defense mode. So there we go. So now we've ended, we even have the Imperm as well, which I technically should have activated My Friend and not the middle column, because Imperm's kind of at its best in the middle, but it's fine. We'll just throw it here. So now, as you can see, we have the Expurrely Noir, but we managed to also end on the Beauty for a monster effect negate as well. But if you wanted to, again, you could have thrown the extra material on the Noir, and then you get to do the effect to put a card on the bottom of the opponent's deck while it's still having 5 or more materials. So It just depends on what you value more. Here, I think it's better to have a bit of versatility just to have the monster effect negate as well. But we could also make an argument because we had Imperm, it wasn't that needed either. So a lot of different ways you could have played this one out. But again, that's just how the deck goes. Let's do like one more going first hand, and then I'll show you how to OTK going second. Alright, so for this hand here, this hand's actually not bad at all, and under normal circumstances, I'm pretty sure you could just pretty easily summon an Expurrely Noir, but I want to play a little bit of a hypothetical here. Let's say I normal summon the Purrelyly, and let's just say your opponent has an Imperm. I'm going to say specifically Imperm because I did also open Triple Attack as well, and if they Ash Blossomed, I'd have the opportunity to draw some cards or look at their hand, yada yada yada. So let's say it's exactly an Imperm on the Purrelyly, and it got negated. So let's see what we can do in a situation like this where things are not super ideal, right? We do have the Happy Memory in hand, so let's go ahead and activate that. I'm going to go ahead and use this on, of course, the Purrelyly, and I do want to activate the effect. I'll discard the Triple Attack here just because I value Maxx and Imperm more highly, and we'll special summon a Purrely from deck. So we want to use the Purrely to see if we can find something, ideally either My Friend or one of the Quick Play spells. Hey, look at that, there's My Friend right there. So we do have access to a decent amount of plays here. We also revealed Sleepy Memory, which might be worth considering, but nah, I think here I'm just going to go for My Friend, because I definitely want a Quick Play spell that is not Sleepy Memory. Alright, so actually, once again, we have even more options from here. Again, this deck is very versatile. Let's start with My Friend, because here's what I'm thinking about, right? We actually have a couple of options with My Friend. Normally, you would just go straight for Delicious Memory, you go straight for the Plump, but in a situation like this, because here's what I'm thinking, right? We could activate My Friend, go for Delicious Memory, and then add Plump, and then summon Plump, but I'm also kind of thinking about doing the Princessprout. You know what? Okay, we could actually potentially summon Expurrely Noir even still in this situation. I think this is how we're going to do it, right? Going to activate My Friend Purrely. We're going to reveal 3 Delicious Memories so we get one of those. Alright, add that. Now, let's activate Delicious Memory. Let's pick, I don't know, the Purrely. That's fine. And yes, I do want to discard a card. And we'll summon another Purrely, right? Oops. Because if I reveal a Quick Play spell card off this Purrely, I think I can actually still summon Expurrely Noir. We did not reveal that. That's pretty brutal. We do get to add the Purrelyeap, though. You know what? The Purrelyeap is actually totally fine. Because now here what we get to do is we'll go for the Princessprout using the 2 Purrelys, right? And if all else fails, we can... Oh, but you know what? If Purrelyly got Impermed, it would be negated, and I wouldn't be able to use the Graveyard effect. I didn't even think about that till just now, either. Well, we revealed an Imperm, so... Okay, what's another... I don't know. We could just say it's Ash Blossom or Veiler for the sake of example, and just ignore that Triple Attack. If it was Imperm, we wouldn't be able to do a whole lot else here, but if it wasn't, if it was Veiler or Ash Blossom, again, we can use Purrelyly, get the Delicious Memory, make the Plump right over here. And now we can activate Plump's effect and attach... We'll attach the non-Quick Play spell here just to make things convenient. And now we can set both Imperm and Purrelyeap. So this actually does a lot of things. One, we have Maxx and Imperm still, so that's already inherently good for the opponent's turn. 2, this effect to suck up spell and trap cards from the graveyard is a quick effect, and is actually really relevant, obviously against the mirror, but even in a lot of matchups there are decks that have spell and trap cards that have effects that activate from the graveyard. So in that case, we can even disrupt them potentially that way as well, especially if it's like Runic or something. Obviously that's a archetype that cares very much about having spell and trap cards in the graveyard, so that would be cool. But on top of that, we actually do have the Purrelyeap here, so we can still go into Expurrely Noir via the Purrelyeap. The thing you do have to keep in mind is that when the monster, when it hits the end phase, the monster will get returned to the extra deck. Now, this has to leave the field because of an opponent's cards that will not trigger My Friend Purrely, excuse me. So, again, if we keep all that in mind, we still actually have a pretty solid end board, even if our, monster got negated there, right? The Plump offers a lot of defense and a little bit of disruption. We still have the Imperm, again, we still have the Purrelyap to go into other stuff. Now I'm just kind of repeating myself at this point, but as you can see, even a non-optimal turn 1 still ends pretty decently there. Let's go ahead and go second now and show off the OTK line. Okay, so our AI opponent has gone first. They have summoned a Totem Dragon in attack mode and passed. Although, to be fair, this was actually a really good going second hand because we had Maxx and Ash Blossom, and drawing the Imperm obviously off the Maxx wouldn't have been bad either. But yeah, I'll show you how you can OTK specifically with the, here's his, Epurrely Happiness. So we're going to want to obviously summon the Epurrely Happiness, and we do actually want to be summoning it. Actually, do we need to use the Happy Memory? Yes, we do need to use Happy Memory. That is going to be very important. Let's start by normal summoning this Purrely and just see if we can find anything interesting. Hey, there's Happy Memory. Go figure. Speak of the devil. So we could just go ahead and add the Happy Memory straight to our hand. And actually, because like we have Purrely specifically on the field, we don't even need to activate like one of our quick play spells. We can just like straight up go for it. Although, you know what? We will actually also need Delicious Memory. So we're going to still need to activate one of our quick play spells to ultimately end up searching that rather. But the important thing is to make sure that you have, well, two important things. One, make sure you have Epurrely Happiness with Happy Memory attached as a material. And now we need to find Delicious Memory. Once again, we need Delicious Memory here. So I'm going to activate Sleepy Memory, and I actually will chain the Epurrely Happiness effect to suck that up as a material, because why not? Alright, so I will discard a card. We can just toss out the Imperm here. And I will summon the Purrelyly. I'm only doing this to search My Friend Purrely and then using My Friend Purrely to grab the Delicious Memory. It's funny because the Purrelyly can't actually add a quick play spell card, but if you can add My Friend, you can pretty much add a quick play spell card. So, all right, My Friend Purrely. Let's reveal 1, 2, 3 Delicious Memory just to make sure that we get one. All right, so we have the Epurrely Happiness with the Happy Memory attached as a material, and we have the Delicious Memory. That is everything we need to OTK. To OTK, your opponent will need to have an attack position monster, and I think it needs to have 2,700 or less attack, if I recall correctly. But as long as that's the condition, which is not hard to fulfill, your opponent having one attack mode monster with 2,700 or less attack, then you have the ability to OTK. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to move to battle phase. I'm actually going to use Delicious Memory on my opponent's monster, so that way it cannot be destroyed by battle. And then we'll go ahead and suck that up with the Epurrely Happiness here too. That'll also give my Epurrely Happiness even more stats, which is obviously very nice. So, and again, do not use this on your monster. Actually use it on your opponent's monster, because the way that the Happy Memory works is you get multiple attacks during the battle phase, but only per monster. So we do not need to activate this effect. So now we can attack with Epurrely Happiness, and we'll activate her effect that will have the monster's attack points and then allow us to add a Purrely quick play spell from our deck to our hand. We're actually going to go ahead and grab yet another Happy Memory here. So we get to change the attack of this monster to half. And because it's the battle phase, we can still activate quick play spells. Let's activate yet another Happy Memory, and then use Happiness to go ahead and suck that up as a material. That way you'll get yet another attack. And we'll make it so this can't be destroyed by card effect. We don't need to summon a level 1 monster. Let's attack yet again. And we get to activate the Epurrely Happiness effect yet again. We can add yet another Happy Memory. And we will change the attack of the Totem Dragon to half. And as you can see, we're just able to keep stacking the Happy Memories. Well, we actually can't anymore because we've used this effect 3 times now this turn. But if I hadn't done it on the Sleepy Memory, which would have been correct, then we would have gotten yet another attack there. But we don't even need it. We have enough attacks to just end the duel right here. Now, to be fair, Totem Dragon has very low attack points, so you can see how it's pretty easy. And I also kind of misplayed by, again, attaching the Sleepy Memory and missing out on one of the attacks there. But that's pretty much the main gist of how you OTK going second with this deck. And yeah, there's a few going first hands, and then yeah, this going second OTK hand. So hopefully this combo guide was helpful. I know, again, that this is a very non-linear combo deck, but I wanted to kind of present this in a way that would hopefully be useful and help you kind of make these plays, because this deck has a lot of moving pieces, right? So we want to make sure that we are just seeing, or at least I like to see examples of gameplay, because just reading all the effects, it's hard to know going into your first duel with a deck if you're going to be able to make the plays that you're thinking of. So I just find examples like this helpful, and again, hopefully you did too. But that's going to do it for now. Let's just move to our outro. Alright everybody, thank you so much for watching all the way to the very end of the video like this. That means a whole lot to me, not just personally, but it's also a great way of supporting the channel as well. If you're interested in supporting the channel in other means, you can of course feel free to comment and or subscribe right here on YouTube. I'm always looking to the comments section. You guys leave some pretty awesome feedback as far as like constructive criticism goes when it comes to deck building, gameplay, channel content, all that stuff. So feel free to leave your opinion down there. I will be sure to take a look at that there. And then subscribing is going to be the best way to get notifications of when these videos drop. That does happen every day, by the way, so if you're looking for daily Master Duel content, you've come to the right place. And there are more places where you can get some daily Master Duel content. If you check out the description below, follow the top link over to my Patreon page. There for just $5 a month, which is as much as you pay for a booster pack, you'll find a lot more value than a pack full of filler over there. We've got some previews for content upcoming here on the channel. We've got some exclusive games that are only posted over on Patreon over there. We've got some Q&As, and then you can also have your name featured in this lovely credit sequence where I thank all of the people who are helping contribute over there on Patreon. It's a huge support to the channel, and it really means a lot as well. So thank you everyone who is donating that is featured here on screen. And again, you know, it's not just a pure donation, you do get some more daily Master Duel content over there just for being a part of the Patreon. But I think that's about all the time that I have for today's video. Once again, I just want to thank you so very much for sticking all the way to the end of the video. Again, it just means a lot, as I do put a decent amount of work into getting these videos out every single day. But that's about all the time that I've got for now, so without further ado, this is Xlex. I'm signing out, and I hope you have a fantastic day.